might say I can build full e-commerce app from payment system to order system until email system. But have you ever thought about the structure? You might miss this. If you're still creating everything inside one index folder, that means you are destroying your app. If any of these services break down, all the other services will break down also. And if you are a really senior developer, you must know that every service must be separated. Analytics service, including index, email service, including its own index, and the same thing for order service and payment service. And each of them has the models. When you're doing this, you are protecting your app from a big disaster. Because if any service has broken down, all the other services will be work without any problem. Because these services don't know anything about the other services. And that's what we're gonna do. Let's build full e-commerce MERN stack app using microservice system. I created this full MERN stack app with microservice system with the power of Antigravity. And the most interesting part, whenever we send any function to database, all these functions are sent separately. The payment system is handled by Stripe. Whenever we make payment, we will get payment successful. Not only this, but we will receive an email about the order confirmed, including all the details. And all the emails are saved in MongoDB. By using Kafka, which will combine all these services inside it, we will protect our website easily. And not only this, I am creating here many Kafka servers, Kafka 1, Kafka 2, and Kafka 3. You might ask me why I am doing this. Cause maybe Kafka server will break down. Then what we will do? If the server breaks down, the other servers will work instead of it. And as you can see here, every service is inside separate Kafka server. And this is how I build my e-commerce website. So if you are excited about this lesson, hit the like button. Let's get started. For our backend, we will use Node.js. So inside this folder, I will create many folders. The first one is Analytic Service, which will save every event inside database. And the second one is Order Service. The next one is Payment Service. And the last one, Email Service. And inside each file, we will create index.js. So, instead of using this traditional way by creating everything inside one index, including route and connection URI for MongoDB, we will create index for each file, index.js, and for the order also, index.js, and the payment. Now we are building the structure. The next thing, we have to create folder for each one for models. So, I will say here, models, and here is models. Now inside Analytics Service, we will create a new file, eventlog.js. And inside it, I will create the event type and payload. You might ask me, what is this file and why we have to create it inside models? Actually, this file is very important. When Kafka sends messages like order created or payment successful, these messages will disappear from Kafka after some time. And if we don't save them, as you can see here, if we don't save them inside MongoDB, we will lose them and we will lose history of what happened. So it's very important to create event and store it. And now you might ask me, what is event and why we should use it inside our microservice app? This is very simple and easy. I will explain it to you. Let me create a big diagram. And inside it, the services we have. The first one is the payment, the second one is order, and the last one is email. Let me change the color. When the user made payment, here the server will send payment successful as a message. This payment successful message considers as a new event. And this event will go to another services. So this successful message will go from payment to order, just like this. And when the order is successful, also we will receive here order successful as a new event. And this new event will go immediately to email. But between these steps, everything will be saved inside, as you can see here, Analytics Service. You can think it like the database. So when the payment is successful, it will be processed inside Analytics, then it will go immediately to order. After the order is successful, it will go back again to analytics to be saved. Then it will go immediately to the email service. That is a microservice in very short way. So here we have event type, including maybe order created or payment proceed or whatever. And for the payload might include the order ID, the amount, and the currency. So it's the actual data carried in a message or a request. Of course, when we create our data inside MongoDB, everything will be much easier. But now let's continue creating our models. Now inside email service, here I will create the new models, the new fields, which includes order ID and status. Here you might ask me, why there is no relation between the order and the email? Well, that's why we are using here microservice, because the email log has its own database and the order log, which we will create it, so whenever one of them break down, it will not cause a problem to the other service. So that's why we don't have to make relation between them. By the way, here it's not inside index, but inside email log. Okay. Now let's move to order service. Inside order log, here I will create the model order schema, which includes new Mongos, but here we have to make sure to import Mongos. And here, as you can see, products includes product schema, which is not defined yet. So we can create it actually inside the same file here or in separate file. It's up to you. I can create it here inside the same file, which includes product ID, name, price, quantity. And by the way, there is no relation between the order and product because we didn't say ref. Since we didn't say ref, just like this, so there is no relation. And as I said before, since we are using microservice, not monolith, we don't have to make relations between the database or schemas. So just keep it like this. And by the way, product schema here, as you can see, is considered as sub-document. So it might be new information for you. Now for the last one, payment service, here inside model, I will create new file transaction.js. And inside transaction, here I will include the order ID, amount, and status. Now you might ask me how the transaction will know the related ID or the related order ID. Actually, we will know that when we create special configuration inside Kafka. Because since we don't use database relation inside microservices, we use instead event data, and event data will handle everything, including the relation. Now this is everything about the structure right now and the models. Actually, we haven't installed Node.js yet or MongoDB. We will handle everything, of course. But here is the most important thing right now about the microservices. Now the next step. Let's install Node.js. Since we have here many services, so every service must include its own terminal. So let's hit Ctrl+J and split the terminal. So here our root is Ecommerce micro. Here first I will say cd analytic service, but let me here first split it just like this. And for the first one here I will say cd analytic service. And here I will say npm init y to install Node.js. Okay. As you can see here, now inside analytic we have package.json. We will do the same thing for each services. So here I will say cd email services or email service, then npm init y. Now here cd order service, then npm init y. And the last one, we've got the payment service. cd payment service npm init. Now let me open new terminal. Inside our root we will install MongoDB and Kafka. So here I will say npm install. First I will say Kafka.js. Mongos, I will need cores. Let me first install these ones. Okay. Now inside the main package.json we can see cores, Kafka.js and Mongos. Now for displaying or fetching products, we have to create another service. So inside the root of our project, let me create here new folder called product service. And inside it, we will have index also, .js, and folder here, models. And inside the models here, another file, product.js. Actually, we have to move everything inside order schema, which included the product model inside product. So here what I'm going to do is to paste right now the product schema and go back again to order service because we have also another product schema. Here, instead of product schema, we have to delete it and create order item. So here I will create it just like this. And here inside products, we will have order item schema. Because the order item schema including product ID, name, price, and everything. And also inside the terminal here, I will say cd product service npm init y to install Node.js inside it. Okay. Now inside every index, here we have to handle every index. Let me start with each index inside our services. Let me start here with a product, for example. Here I need to say const express, require express, but make sure to install express, otherwise we will get an error. And here we are importing cores too, to connect front end with backend. Then I will say here const app equal to express, then the port. Here is the secret. Every service and every index will include its own port. And this is the secret of microservice. So whenever this port breaks down, the other ports will work without any problem. And for the cores, here I can say app.use cores and the local host is 3000 for the front end. And by the way, we will use Next.js. So here if I say cd product service, then let me go back again to package. Here actually I have to say start node index.js. Or actually you can use here, by the way, dev nodemon index.js, but we have to install nodemon inside every service. Here I will say npm install save dev nodemon. Just like this, npm install nodemon. Now if I say here inside product service npm run dev, as you can see here, product service listening to this port. And this is what we actually have done here, const port 3002 or 3, whatever you want, it doesn't matter. So now this service is working. We will do the same thing inside all our services. So let's copy everything here inside it. Let me go back to order service index and paste everything. Now here we can change the port here. It can be 1, for example, and everything will keep the same. Now let me test it inside order service. This one, order service. If I say here npm run dev, but actually we have to include it inside package.json also. Here I will say dev nodemon. Let me say again npm run dev. Okay, order service now is listening. Okay, it's working. There is no need to install npm nodemon since we are including here inside package.json. Now I will copy everything. Let's go to the email or analytic, whatever. Here is the email. And I will change it to email. Here I will change it to 4. And this second one is the email. Let me test it. npm run dev. I think there is an error because we didn't include here the nodemon. Okay. So dev nodemon, now npm run dev. Okay, email service listening to this port. And the last one is analytic. And I will change it here, maybe to 5. Analytic. Okay. This one is for analytic. Now inside package.json, the same thing. Nodemon dev, then npm run dev. Okay, it's working. Now every port and every service is working inside our project. Now let's go to MongoDB and create a new cluster to connect it to our project. Just click on Create. Since I had my own cluster, I can see here the free version, but if you are creating your first cluster, you will see here the free one. Make sure to choose it and name it whatever you want. Then click New Cluster or Create Deployment. So here I will rest on my cluster and click on Connect. You might see here different menu if you haven't created app. So make sure to create a new app and put your own password and username. After that, you will see this menu. Click on Drivers. We already installed MongoDB or Mongos. Now here you can see our connection URL. This is my app name and here we will put our password. And this is the cluster name. All we need to do is to copy it. Then go to our project. Inside every service, we will create a new folder called config. Inside config, db.js. Here I will create a function which will connect our project to MongoDB. And this function might be familiar to you if you are always using Node.js. Now here inside Mongo URI. So let me remove it. But here for Mongo URI, I will create inside the same folder or inside analytic service here, new file .env. And inside it, we will paste our connection URI. Just like this, here I will say Mongo URI. Now here, make sure to replace this password with the same password when you create your app inside MongoDB. Now I will change it. But here, before app name and after MongoDB, here we will put our new database name, which called Analytic DB. But inside index of Analytic Services, here we have to install .env. So here, I will say again, cd Analytic Service. Then I will say npm install .env. And we will do the same process inside all our services. Let me say it again, npm run dev. Everything is working inside Analytic Service. Now, let me import it. I will import connectdb and .env. And here, make sure also to say connect MongoDB. But actually here, we have to put this import above everything. Okay, now we will do the same process inside every service. Now here inside email service, I will create a new folder called config and inside it db.js, and I will copy paste everything inside analytic to email. Just like this. But here I will say email service and let's create our .env. Here I will paste it again, but we will change it here to email db. And let's go back to the index of email service to say here again require.env, then import the connectdb, then connectdb. And I will do here the same thing for order and service. Let me do it fastly to move on to the next step. Now as you can see, I created everything. Now every service has its own config and inside it db. And also don't forget to inside every index to create or to import .env and connectdb. Actually everything was copy-paste. And don't forget also inside every service to create the new .env, including the database name, so it will change according to the service, and make sure to put the password and your username. By the way, if you write weak password like 123, it will not be acceptable inside MongoDB, so make sure to be strong. And whenever you enter inside any service inside terminal, make sure to install .env also. So you have to install it inside product service, order service, payment service, and all services. Again, I will say npm run dev. Now product service listening, but we have to make sure that MongoDB is connected also, because in the other services, we can see here MongoDB connected, but for product service is not connected yet because we have to change our password or put our correct password. Now let me restart it again. Actually, I forgot to import the ConnectDB inside the product service, and here ConnectDB, and also import .env. Now MongoDB connected inside product service. Now if we take a look to our database, nothing changed and we cannot see our new database. Actually, everything is working. Since here it's saying MongoDB connected, if you want really to make sure that everything is working inside database, here you can create just dummy data inside every folder. For example, I created here seed file inside analytic service, and inside it just a dummy data. Actually, it's optional. You don't have to create it if you don't want, but it's just to make sure that this database is ready and working inside MongoDB. So here I created seed inside analytic, and also seed inside product service, and inside payment. Now, how to push this seed file? All you need to do is to say node seed.js. Okay, since we don't have any error, that means everything is working. Now let's do the same thing for payment service. Node seed.js. And also inside products, here in this terminal, node seed.js. As I said, it's an optional thing, but just to make sure everything is working. Now, let's go again to MongoDB and refresh our page. Actually, I have to connect again here. I have to say again npm run dev. Inside every terminal, npm run dev. Okay. Now let's refresh again. Connect. And now we can see analytic, payment, product, and everything is working. Inside analytic, we have event logs. Inside payment, we have transaction. And we have this dummy data, product DB, and inside it we have products file and this dummy data. So it's very important step and we could handle it successfully. Now let's move to the most important section in our project, which is connecting our project to Kafka. After we installed Kafka, actually it's not enough without creating docker compose.yml. You might ask me what's Docker and why we have to use it. First, make sure to install Docker in your computer to get started. But why we have to use Docker? Because Kafka has a lot of environments, and Docker will be the container of these environments. When you install Docker, you can see something like this. By the way, since we are using Windows, as in my situation, you might face two errors. The first one will be visualizing support not detected, and the other error is WSL needs updating. So to fix these errors, all you need to do to search for turn Windows features on or off. Because Docker only works on Linux system, but here we are using Windows. So make sure to click on it and use here Hyper-V, activate it, and activate also Windows subsystem for Linux. After activating this, you might need to restart again Docker Desktop, then when you reopen it again, you will see that Docker Desktop like this one is working. Now let's move to our project. After we creating this Docker Compose, here we will put all the environments of Kafka. Since we have many services like analytic, email, order, and payment, here we have to create for each service a new broker. Broker means server or Kafka server. So let me create it here fastly and explain to you everything. Here is the first broker. And the name of this broker or container name is Kafka1. And we must include image. For every broker, it has image, container name, ports, and environments. You can check this inside Kafka documentation. So the image can be maybe Bitnami, or, as I choose here, CB Kafka and this version. And the container name Kafka1, you can choose whatever you want. And also for the ports, you can choose any port you want. And here we have Kafka node ID, which will be here 1, and for the next broker 2 will be 2, 3, and 4. And here is the rules. It's very important. Here we have broker, which means the Kafka server, and the controller. What is controller? Controller decides which broker or which Kafka server must be the leader. Will it be Kafka 1 or Kafka 2 or Kafka 3? So, controller decides which one will be the leader, and the other brokers will be followers of this leader. So it's very important here to add it. Previously, we used Zookeeper, but now, in these versions, new versions, we can now choose controller. Now, it's very important here to add Kafka listeners and also add external, because when we don't add external, that means everything will be locally. And Kafka cannot know that there is an external user with this port especially wants to use Docker. That's why we have to add external here. Otherwise, no one can take a look inside Docker which we created or which we will create it, and it will be only locally. And here we have cluster ID. By the way, you can add whatever you want ID. You can keep it 1, 2, 3 or whatever you want. Actually, I didn't create these environments by myself. I asked Antigravity to create Docker Compose YML by saying create Kafka environments and create brokers for our services. And this was the result. Here for Kafka 2, we are doing the same thing here, Kafka 3 also, and here we have Kafka UI. So what's Kafka UI? Since Kafka doesn't have built-in window to see what's happening inside, Kafka UI resolves it for us and creates a dashboard. And inside this Kafka UI, here we will include Kafka 1, Kafka 2, Kafka 3 with these ports. And we must add depends on Kafka 1, Kafka 2, Kafka 3. It's very important. Now here for database. Why here we have to add Mongo? While Kafka captures an event, like payment successful, order successful, Mongo will save these events inside MongoDB database. So it's very important here to add it. And as I said, you don't have to understand every line here. It's very complicated. I asked Antigravity to create it, just we need to know the main things inside environment. And don't forget here to add networks. Micro network driver will be bridge, and you can find this also inside documentation. Now, how to push these brokers to Docker? All we need to do is to go back to the root of our project. Here is Ecommerce micro, and here we will say Docker compose up. Let's hit enter. Now it will start creating everything. It might take a lot of time to create it. So let's see what will happen. And here is it. Inside Docker Desktop, we can see now Kafka 1, Kafka 2, Kafka 3, and Mongo, which we added, and also Kafka UI. And everyone has its own port. If I click here on Kafka UI on this port, here I can see the brokers, and by the way, here is the active one. As you can see here, active controller, which means the controller choose this broker to be the leader, and 2 and 3 will be the followers. Here inside topics, everything is empty. That means we have to create payment successful, order successful as a topic, and also we don't have any consumer. And I will explain to you what is consumer and producer. But now we have to make sure everything is working. And make sure here the green light is on, so everything and every broker is working. Now, since everything is working, let's move on and create new routes for every service. For order, I will create another routes, and inside it, orders.js. First, I will import Express, router, and order inside models. Here we need actually Axios because we need to fetch all the products first, then we can make orders. So make sure here to open new terminal. By the way, the Docker terminal must be always running after we said Docker compose up. So just make sure to open new terminal and inside the root of our project, npm install Axios. And here I will say router.post. It can be, for example, orders, then async, request and response, and inside it, try and catch. First, we will get all the products, which will come from the front end. Whenever you see here request.body, that means this information or this data will come from the user inside front end. And if there is no product, I can say no product provided. By default, the products will be empty array, and also the total will be 0 as initial value. Then I can say for const items of products, and inside it also try and catch. Now inside the try, we have to add here this URL, which includes the details of every product ID inside this map. You might ask me, where did this URL come from? Actually, we haven't created yet, but we must create it. But make sure here inside localhost that we have choose the right localhost here. Let me go back again to products service. Here we choose this port. So make sure this port is matched the port inside here. So after making map for all products, here we are getting the product ID to map inside everyone. And here we are making sure that the stock is not less than quantity, otherwise we will get an error. And since the initial value of products is an empty array, now it's time to push these values. So here we have the product, which includes response.data to get all the products, and the name of the product, price, and quantity. Then we are calculating all these prices of these products. Since the initial value here is 0, now we can say product.price is multiplied by item.quantity. So that's everything about the orders. And inside catch, we will fetch the error here and the message. After we map inside all the products, it's time to create the orders by saying new order. This order comes from the model, as you can see here. Then we are fetching the new products here, like this, valid products and the total. Then we must to save this new order. Otherwise, we cannot see it inside our database. Let me close it here. Then inside catch, because as you can see here, we have a main try and catch. Now inside catch, here we will return response.status 500 and the error. That's everything about the orders. Okay, now let's move on to routes of product especially. And here inside products route, let's first get the product ID. So to get the product ID, all we need to say here is product, which is the main route of our products, then the ID. Then we need to say find by ID, not find. Find means fetching all the products, but here since we need specific product, we need here to say find by ID, then request.params.id. And by the way, if we write here ID, it must be here ID. If we write here product ID, so here it must be product ID. Then we are fetching the specific product. All I need to do right now is to fetch all the products, not only product ID. So here also I will say router.get, it can be products. Then I will accept here the autocomplete. So we are fetching all the products here and here specific product. And by the way, every route related to ID, especially ID, we have to put it down everything. So Everything related to ID must be down, and everything related to fetching all products or anything must be up. Otherwise, we will get an error. So everything about routes is ready right now. Now let's talk about the most important thing inside Kafka, which is producer and consumer. Here in our example, whenever the user creates a new order, this order will be by default as pending. After that, the order service produces order created. So first it will act as producer. Since it will act as producer, it will send a message to the payment. Payment will listen to this new message, which is order created, and starts processing the payment. After processing the payment, it will create payment proceed. And since it's proceed, it can be failed or success, as we have inside our models. After that, the order service will listen also to payment proceed and consume this message. So the order here will act as consumer, and in the same time, it will act as producer. After the order service consumes the payment proceed, the order server will update its own status, like paid or cancelled. Everything will be much clearer when we applied it inside our project. And after the order and the payment is successful, now the email will listen to these topics and create email successful. So let's apply it together. Inside order service, make sure to create new Kafka.js inside config. Now let's start activating or creating new Kafka server. Const Kafka equal to new Kafka. Make sure the K will be in capital letter. Then we have to define the brokers. These brokers come from Docker Compose. So we have to define it just like this. And if I go back here to Docker Compose, as you can see here we got the ports. And this is the ports that we have to add it inside every Kafka.js. This one, and this one, 92, and this one. But here also I have to define the client ID, which is order service. Now the next step is to connect our project to consumer and producer. Here we have to say const producer equal to Kafka.producer. And we have to do the same thing for consumer also. But here we have to define Kafka or import it. So const Kafka equal to require Kafka.js. And inside every consumer we have to create group ID. And in our case here called order service. Then await producer.connect to connect them. Then also await consumer.connect. So the producer will send and the consumer will receive. Let's also here console log them. So console log. After that, since the order service is acting as a consumer also, every consumer has something called subscribe. That means this consumer has received the message from the producer and starting to proceed it. So here I can say await consumer.subscribe, and it must be payment proceed, as we have said before. And what about from beginning equal to true? Whenever broker or Kafka server breaks down and then starts again, I want to see all the messages. Not only the messages after the server has started, but the old messages and the new ones. That's why we have to say here true. Then we have to run our consumer. Await consumer.run. Inside every consumer.run, we have something called each message. Each message will include here 3 parameters: topic, partitions, and message. Then we have to parse the data by saying message.value.toString. By the way, we don't write this format by ourselves. You can find everything inside Kafka documentation. Now, after the payment is proceed, as I said before, we have to update the status of the order. So here I added new status. So the status will be success, paid, otherwise it will be cancelled. By the way, I will comment for you here to understand it. how the order service will be work. I will put it here just like this and comment it. So if the order status is one of them, one of these status, we have to update it, await order, which comes from order model, dot find by ID and update. Data dot order ID, then update the status. And we have to add also new true. Then console log everything. Then this order will act as producer, because it will send message to new service. Whatever is it, maybe it will send it to the payment service or the email service, but here in our case, it will send it to the database, which is analytic service. So here I will say const send order event. I will accept this autocomplete, and the topic will be order created. Above the topic is payment proceed, and it acted as a consumer, not a producer like this. Consumer because it receives a message or topic which will come from the payment, but here it will send a message or topic to another service. Here, don't forget to export the post, send order event, and connect to Kafka. It's very important. But actually here, connect to Kafka, we haven't created. Here I had to say const connect to Kafka equal to async. Then we have to modify everything here, just like this. Then the order service is ready. So the order service is acting like consumer and producer. And by the way, the other services might not act as a producer. It can maybe act as a consumer only. So let's handle every service and see how every service will act. Let me now go to payment service. And let's create here inside config new kafka.js. Let me first copy paste everything inside order and import it here also inside product service. Here it will be payment service. Actually, we are now here inside product service too. So make sure to use the right Kafka. So let me go back here inside payment and paste it. And the same thing, also we have to copy paste Kafka consumer and producer, and the group ID here is payment group. So this service will act also as consumer and producer. Now let's connect to Kafka. Connect Kafka equal to async. Then await producer connect and consumer connect. It will act first as a consumer because it will receive a message from order, which is order created. So await consumer.subscribe. The new topic is order created from beginning true. Order created, by the way, comes from here, order created. And here is exactly the microservice event-driven data. All events are connecting with each other. So the order created comes from order service, and the payment proceed will come from payment service, which we will create it right now. But let me first finish everything about consumer before moving to the producer. Here I will say again, await consumer.run. And as inside order service, I will say here each message async, it will include topic partition and message. And inside it also the order data json.parse, including message.value.string, including also console log order data.id, order data.total amount. And this total amount comes from the model. Then we will handle also the status of the payment, since we have it inside database, so we have to include it also here. It might be a success or failed. And if it's success, we have to save the payment info. So here I will say transaction, new transaction, which comes from our model. So make sure to import it. And it will include the order ID, amount, and the status. Then we have to save it. Await transaction.save. Let's console log it also. It can be transaction saved, transaction ID, and the status. Now the payment service will act as a producer, not also a consumer. So here I will add send payment result event, and it will send it to the order also. So there is something like relation here between the payment and the order. The order sent to the payment and the payment sent to the order also. So here the topic is payment proceed. That means since it's a producer, another service will receive this producer as a consumer. And in our case, we did it before a while inside order service. That's it, payment proceed. And don't forget to export connect to Kafka. Now here is the interesting part. Who will receive and who will act as a consumer for all these topics like payment proceed, order created, and whatever? Actually, it's the analytics service, which will receive every topic, because it's responsible to save everything inside it and then send it to the database. So let's move to analytics service and create a new Kafka inside config. Let me copy paste here everything from order service maybe. Here I will copy the Kafka and the brokers, and also I will import the Kafka. Then I will take the producer and consumer also, replace it with analytics service. But here is a big mistake. Analytics service will act only as a consumer, not a producer. It will not send any message or any topic to any service. It will only receive topics or messages. So we have to delete producer and only put consumer. Let's connect to Kafka again. Const connect to Kafka. Await consumer.connect. No need to add producer.connect. And here I will say maybe inside console log analytics service Kafka connected. And as I said, it will receive two topics from payment and from the order. So here I need to say subscribe twice. The first one for the order, the second one for payment. Then await consumer.run each message, and I will accept the autocomplete here, topic, partition, messages, and message.value.string. Then here maybe I can say more simple thing, analytic event. Inside it, we will include the topic which is order created and order proceed. By the way, you might ask me what is data here and what is message.value. In Kafka, when a message arrives, it arrives as a raw bytes. So we have to convert it into a format that our code can understand it. And as you remember, inside analytics service, we had model. Inside it, we have event type, payload. So here we have to define every field, just like this, including event type, which is the topic here, and the data. Then we have also to save the event. And don't forget to export connect Kafka. Now for the email service, I really recommend you to go back again to the model of this email service and modify this model. Before that, we had only order ID, status, and send that. I really recommend you to make it like this: recipient, subject, body, status, and everything to receive real email. For our email service, I will use resend. Resend is a library which allows us to receive and send emails. It's for development mode right now, and as you can see here in my previous projects, I could receive and send emails just like this, and here is an example. But since we are using the free version of resend, here is the problem that we will receive email from onboarding resend dev, but it's not problem because we are now in development mode. Okay, now don't forget to create a new API key. After you create it, make sure to copy paste it inside our project. Now inside Kafka.js, inside email service here, we are doing the same steps. In new Kafka, the client ID will be email service, and for brokers, actually we can put, instead of Kafka broker here, let me go back again to any other service and paste the brokers. Now for resend library, to activate it, we have to put it in this way. Const resend equal to resend, and make sure to install the library. Ctrl J in the root of our project, npm install, resend. After that, the email service will act as a consumer because it will receive messages and topics from two services. The first one is the order and the other one is payment. That's why we are acting here as a consumer. We are doing the same steps, and after that each message consumer.run, but here instead that the order created, we will receive different email. In case that payment proceed, we will receive another email. Now for send order confirmation. Here we have order.customer email, and by the way, we have to go to order to activate customer email here. Otherwise will be undefined. And here is the subject, order confirmation, some HTML, to make sure that the format of this email will be like this. Then order has been placed successfully. And after we're making sure that recent API key is available, we will receive or we can send here email. This email, as I showed you before, it will be from onboardingrecent.dev, just like this, and the recipient, whoever the recipient is, and the subject, which will come everything from above. And in case the email is payment proceed, we will receive another email format. Here is the send email status. We will only change the format or change everything from order to payment. Payment update instead of order update, for example, and the status here, whatever the status is, successful, failed, and the payment data, and the amount. And for every email, we have to create a new email inside email log, which we had created previously, including recipient, subject, body, both for order created and for payment created or proceed. That's everything about the email. And don't forget to include everything inside Analytics service. Inside Kafka, here also we have to subscribe for email successful. And by the way, inside every index of our service, since we have here connect to Kafka, we have to import it inside every index. So inside Analytics service here, make sure to connect Kafka and import it. Let's do the same thing inside email. I think inside email, its name is connect consumer. I will modify it to connect to Kafka, so everything must be connect to Kafka. Then let's go to this index, connect Kafka, and let me go again to order, index, and also let's make it here, connect Kafka, and let's go back to payment, index, connect to Kafka, import it, like this. And now I think everything is ready for Kafka pages. Here inside orders, especially inside routes, I think we have to make sure that the routes are correct. Since we have here router.post for orders, let me go back again to the index of the orders. You can put it here as an API, or here we can say orders. Then let me go back to order here. Here I can say create orders or orders. And make sure inside products here, the routes, everything is working. Here we got products, product ID. Then let's go to the index. Here let me say products. Then inside index here of the products, I can say here all products, for example. And here, maybe all products ID. Now make sure to run npm run dev inside every service. Here I can see there is an issue inside order service. Let's see what's the issue. The issue is argument handler must be function inside index. Let me go to the index. I think we didn't add module exports router. That's the reason, because as you know, inside order service we have routes. And I think here we need to add the customer email. And make sure the customer email is required. You might ask me why we added customer email. Because here inside Kafka.js, especially inside the email service here, since we added, and since we added also inside the model of orders, we have to include it inside the order service, inside the routes. Because we will send the product and the customer email together from the front end. But I think here we got error unknown topic or partition that's inside analytics service. That means there is consumer without a producer. So let's go to analytics service again. Here we added email successful, but actually nothing comes from email successful, and that is why we got this error. Here analytics is acting as a consumer, but no producer comes from email successful. So we have to go back to email service and create a new producer to send topic to analytics service. So here, make sure to create new producer, and here we will activate it. So we have both consumer and producer. Then go down. After send order confirmation email, and make sure here to create new producer. Just like this, if email.status equal to send, it will create new topic email successful to send it to analytics. And we have to do the same thing here for the other function. Here we have for send order confirmation, then inside send payment status email, we have to do the same thing, create new producer. But here we got error inside email service that consumer is not defined. Okay, so it's created. And I think now everything is ready. No errors, everything is working. For analytics service now, we remove this error. Now the same thing, email service, order, and payment. Now let's seed our data to not waste your time creating data for products especially. We have here another way. Just create inside product service a new folder called seeds. Inside seeds, I have created products.json, which includes this data, name, description, price, stock, and image. Now to seed it, we have to create also seed.js inside seeds folder. And you can copy paste these instructions. Make sure to have the right path for .env, otherwise we will get an error and we cannot seed our products. We have to create here Mongo's connect. Inside it, Mongo URI, which comes from .env, then delete many, insert many, and that's it. All we need to do right now, Ctrl J, inside product service especially, npm run seed. Okay, now product seeded successfully to Atlas. Let's refresh the page. Now inside product DB, products, now I can see my all data. Now we can start the front end. Let's start the front end. First, I will go to Next.js and install it inside my app. I will create here before that a new folder, front end, inside the root of our project. Then I will say cd front end. Then npx create next app latest, hit a point, and click enter. I will use the recommended defaults, which includes TypeScript, Tailwind, ESLint, and everything we need. While it's installing, I will go to ShadCN. ShadCN is the foundation for our design system. It provides us pre-built components like cards, buttons, and everything. So click on Docs. Here you can install ShadCN. But before that, make sure to choose Next.js, then install it. You can use npm or npm. I will open a new terminal here to install ShadCN, but make sure first cd front end, then install ShadCN. Here I will say yes. You can choose whatever paste color you want. I will choose, for example, slate. And now our Next.js is ready. And as you can see here, when we installed ShadCN, ShadCN created components.json. Here inside Next.js, npm run dev. Here is our new app. I will delete everything inside Next.js or inside page.tsx here, because we will create our own components. But here I will say empty div maybe and home. Okay, the home page will include many components. Here I will put empty fragment, inside it header and also products. For the navbar, since I want it inside every page inside our project, so I have to include it inside layout, not page.tsx. So make sure before children here to create header. Now everything is undefined, we will handle everything. Let's create inside the front end a new folder called components. And inside it, a new file, navbar.tsx. I'll give it the default template, which comes from this extension, ECMAScript 7. The first one, so make sure to install it. Now, since the navbar is very easy, I would ask Antigravity to create it to not waste our time. So here maybe I can say, create navbar with, you can say whatever you want, with nice effects, including, maybe we can say products, contact us, and the necessary nav links. Now it will create it inside our navbar. Now it's analyzing the navbar and the global CSS to apply the styles. It's creating the task. And now creating the implementation plan. Let's see this implementation plan. I will click open. I will be using standard Tailwind CSS with Lucid React. It will not include Framer motion, but of course you can ask Antigravity to handle it. If you want some animation inside any section of the project, then it will create the logo, desktop navigation and mobile menu, and some actions. So if we like these commands, we can hit OK, start. Let's see how the navbar will look like. Also, it's editing the layout here, as you can see, making some modifications. By the way, before accept any changes, I really recommend you to control everything after Antigravity, because it might make some mistakes. It's importing right now the navbar. I will accept the changes. Here, navbar, accept, and now please verify the changes in your browser. Okay, let me here close this terminal because I don't want it. But actually, since the header and products is undefined, we are still facing some errors. So let me here create these components. Inside components, header.tsx, the default template, and let's import it inside header. Okay, now for the products. I will create another folder here called products. Make sure to be inside app, not only front end, it's very important. And inside products, a new file, page.tsx, and it must be this name, not another name. Now I can say rfce, and I will show you how we can navigate to this page. But let me here first import products. Okay, now let's import it. Okay, now I can see here this nice effects in the navbar. Here is the logo, we can change it of course. Here we have header and page. This page here means the product page here. And to navigate it, all we need to do is just to go inside the route and hit only products. And now we can see here our products page. That's how we can navigate to any page inside Next.js. Now let's create our header. I will also ask Antigravity to create the header since it's very simple. Create header section including carousel from chat.cn and titles, and you can add whatever you want, and images from, you can choose whatever website you want. I will choose Unsplash website with nice designs. Let's see how it created. Now it will include or install npx chat.cn latest, and I will show you where does this command come from. Inside chat.cn, if we here search for carousel, here we can find this command. And inside it, as you can see here, all these codes, which include the carousel. So we can use it inside our project easily. And I asked Antigravity to create all these things. Now here is the header. I think here there's a problem inside this library. We will handle it. Here is the images, some titles, subtitles, colors. And here is the carousel, which everything comes from ShadCN. Okay, now cannot resolve empla carousel autoplay. Actually, we had to wait it because it hasn't finished yet. Now it's installing this library, npm install empla carousel autoplay. So I will run it. But as you can see here we got error from Unsplash because since we are using inside header image which comes from Next.js, and as you can see here we have to import it from Next.js, so we have to define this URL which is Unsplash inside our next config. Because as you can see here, the host name here must be defined. So let's take this one, go back to next config, and handle this. Images, domains, and that's it. Or you can add also something called protocol, like this, remote patterns, and inside it, protocol and hostname to avoid any error. And here is our new carousel. And header section now is ready. Now let's do the same thing for products. I will ask also Antigravity to create it. Create inside page.tsx the products and fetch only first 3 products in cards design from ShadCN. Let's see the task here. And now it's installing card from ShadCN. Here I will hit run, accept all. Let's see how we create it. Now it takes a look inside the products from the backend, and according to this URL, it will handle it. So the URL we'll use is localhost 3002 API products. And if we go back to products, service, index, here actually we have the main URL, which is products. And inside routes, here we have all products. I think the URL is different from what Antigravity decides or seen. Let me see here the implementation plan. It will fetch a product and also the card components and use a grid layout for responsive website. And you create inside components UI card, which will come by default when we install cards from ShadCN. So before Antigravity install it, we can install it together. Let me go back again to ShadCN and search for card. Here is our card. Here I will install it. Okay, now let's accept this plan and see what will happen. I will say here, proceed. It's starting analyzing the products inside the routes. Again, and now inside page.tsx, it will go inside the products. Now, if I go back to page.tsx, I can see that it replaced products component and write the code here inside this page. You can keep it like this, but I think it's better if you make it inside this component or maybe another component. So here I will modify the plan. I can say keep products component inside page.tsx and handle the first 3 products, or maybe 4 we can say, in different component and use it inside page.tsx. It's optional, you can keep it as you want of course, but I don't want to make this page with a lot of codes. Now it will create recent products.tsx with the fetching and display logic. Update page.tsx to simplify import and use recent products. Verify the layout for 4 products only. I think this plan is much better. Let's hit proceed. Here is the recent products inside components and inside cart chat CN, and inside it this URL. And as you can see, it recognized that the URL which provided before a while was wrong, and now it imported or used the right one. And if we go back again to page, I think it has to replace it with recent products. So let's see what will happen. Yes, as I said, it replaced products with recent product, and it implements footer without saying implementing the footer, so it's up to you to keep it or to remove it. Here I will remove it. And as you can see here, everything with flex, flex call, and minimum height screen, so everything will be down each other. Now it will hit npm run dev, and I can see here, by the way, npm run dev. And here's our first 4 products. And by the way, you might not see these products if you don't run inside separate terminal cd product service npm run dev. So every service must be running, otherwise we cannot fetch the data. Now let's create all products page and product ID. First, let's start with products page. Create products page inside products page.tsx with nice cards design. As you notice, we are using Antigravity since we handled everything in the backend, so there is no need to waste our time. It's very simple. We are only displaying the data. And by the way, here inside the products, actually I can copy paste everything inside recent product and also remove these slides. So let me handle it. I will copy paste everything. Here it must be products, only products. Then I will remove the slice, and here I will replace it with products. Save. Now let's go to products. And here is all our products, but here we have to remove recent products and discover our latest additions. No problem, but here is all our products. Now let's create the product ID. Here inside products, I will create a new folder inside brackets, here ID, and since it's a dynamic route, here I have to put it inside brackets because it will change every time. For example, here it can be this ID or another ID, so it's a dynamic route. Now inside ID, new file, page.tsx. I will give it the default template. And again, let's ask Antigravity to create the detail page. Create product ID page with nice design and fetch all the details. Here is the implementation plan. First, it noticed that to fetch this URL inside Node.js, we have products, all products ID, and this is the right one. And for any ID in Next.js, we have to use something called params.id. And it will split the page to left column and right column. So if you like this one, we can click proceed to start creating this page. Now it's creating the page, and this is our new URL for the ID here, which comes from ID, which must be string. And here the interface for TypeScript, because we have to define everything, since in our model, we have all the details for the product's ID, name, description, price, and image. And here the card comes from chatcn. Here is the props also, product page props, which includes the ID. And here especially the params is very important. And inside return, as you can see, this section, product.image, name, price, and everything. Let's accept the changes and see what will happen. Accept. Actually, we have to make a new link for these products. So again, inside recent products, you can handle it inside the map. Here by adding this link, like this, it must match the route here. Products, like this one, and product which comes from product here inside the map .id. And since we are using MongoDB, we have to put here underscore. So here before the ending of the cart, like this, and import it from next link. Now let's refresh the page. Click on this one, and here is all the details. If you don't like this design, of course you can ask Antigravity to create a new one. And here I will create a new button called See All. We can create it here down. Here before this div, I will create this button inside link maybe. I will accept the autocomplete, see all products. And as you can see here, our new product. If I click on this button, I can see now all the products. But let me move it to the right side. So make sure here to wrap the link inside div and give it cold spanful, text center, and justify end inside the link. Like this. Let's change the style also. Here I will remove variant link, and here I can say text white. Refresh it. Okay, now everything is working. Now let's handle user authentication. As you can see right now, the user is anonymous. I decide to use Clerk. What is Clerk? Clerk is authentication user management. It provides for us the login and sign in, sign up, and everything without writing any code. And it's very secure. How we can use it? Make sure to create an account, start build for free, or sign in, whatever you want. I will say here sign in. Now let's create a new application. Create application. It can be whatever you want, like micro e-commerce, for example. Now make sure to use Next.js. First we have to install Next.js, and we installed it already. Now let's install Clerk. Inside the front end, inside the same path, here I will install Clerk. The second step, we have to create .env inside our front end, the root of our project, to include next public, Clerk publishable key and secret key. So let's copy it, and inside our front end, new file, .env, and paste everything. The next step, we have to create proxy.ts, also inside the root of our project. Inside front end, new file, proxy.ts. Let's paste everything. Now inside layout, we have to wrap our project with Clerk provider. So let's implement it. Ctrl P, layout, and inside return Clerk provider. And make sure to import it from Clerk Next.js, like this. Now let's move to the next step. Continue to Next.js guide. Here it says 404, I don't know why. Okay, no problem. Here I can search for, first let's search for sign in component. Let's go down. Here we have to define which pages must be protected. For example, our main page will not be protected. Our products, product ID, these pages will not be protected. But when we add product to cart, here we must have user authentication. So here in the left side we have authentication flows. Here we have a lot of options. Add custom sign in or sign up page. Here we have to create this route inside app. So let's copy this route. Go again inside app. Paste it. Copy everything. So this is the sign in page. Let's do the same thing for a sign up page. But before creating sign up page, we have to modify proxy.ts since we added sign in page. So let's copy everything. Go again to proxy. Paste everything from scratch. What does that mean? It means every page except sign in will be protected, but we don't want that. We don't want all the pages to be protected, as I said before. So how to handle it? It's very simple. All we need to do is inside is public route to add the pages that will be not protected. For example, here's the main page and here is the products. And everything after products, as you can see here, this star, so every route comes after products will not be protected. Now let's create the sign up page. Let's go again here. This is our proxy. And here, before the sign up page, we have to modify .env. It's very important to add the sign in page also. So make sure inside .env, inside the front end especially, to add this one. Now create a custom sign up page. Create a new route. Inside app. Paste everything. And we have to modify also the proxy TS to include also the sign up page. Proxy, here is the sign up page. Now let me here say again npm run dev. Let's refresh the page. Now here, since we are not logged in, we have to display here sign up and sign in button. Let me show you the documentation inside the Clerk how it's working. But before that, I forgot also to add .env for the sign up. Okay, now let's handle the buttons. Let me go back again to navbar, because everything now will be inside navbar. Here in this example, we have signed out. Whenever we are signed out, we have to see signed in button, sign up button. And whenever we are signed in, we have to see user button. So let's implement them. And by the way, this page is the first page after we create the new application. Let's ask Antigravity to implement them. Create sign in and sign up button from Clerk inside navbar and handle if the user is logged in or not. Then after logging in, display user button, which comes from Clerk, and cart icon and maybe orders. Now as you can see, the same thing inside Clerk documentation. If we are sign out, it added sign in and sign up. And whenever we are signed in, it added orders, and here it added also the user button. And deleted this one. Let's accept these changes. And the most important thing, here we have to import use user, which comes from Clerk Next.js is very important, because the condition will be according to is signed in. So if you go down here, if it's not signed in, it will display sign in button, sign up button. And by the way, here we have model. The form will display just like a model, and you will see that after a while. And if the user is signed in, it will display the user button, and you will see this user button, which comes from Clerk also, and we will display also orders. Let me modify the buttons to add the button which comes from chatcn, and make sure to import it. It must be from components UI button. And let's delete these class names. We don't need them. Okay, now we can see sign in and sign up button. If we click on any of them, like sign in, this model, because we add here model, has shown up. Let's sign in using Google. Or you can sign up if you don't want to use Google, it's up to you. I will sign in with Google. Sign in, Google. And now you can see the user button, which comes from Clerk, user button, and orders. Let's implement the cart functionality. Actually, we had to go to backend again to create a new service. So let's create a new service inside the root of our project called cart service. Let's handle everything. As you know, we have to create also index.js. Let's copy from any index the same things and paste it. Nothing special, we only have to change the port here. And we have to make sure there is no other port with 3003, because it's very important. Then we have to create also .env. New file, .env, and also copy from another env the Mongo URI. For example here, we have to change also the email to cartdb. And here I will remove this one, since I didn't add it inside .env, but it's up to you.
You can of course add it. Let's copy any config to create here the DB. I will copy this config, go back again to cart service. Here inside DB we have the connection, which will be here cart service. Nothing will be changed here. I will remove Kafka, we don't need it inside our cart right now. Now let's copy any models, like this one, paste it inside cart service. Now inside this model, we will have two schemas. The first one is for cart item schema, the second one is for cart schema. Inside cart item schema, we have the product ID, name, price, image, quantity. And inside cart schema, we have the user ID, the items, which includes inside cart item schema, and updated at. And this one is automatic timestamp. And by the way, you can add here timestamp if you don't want to add this. But here let's change the name to cart. Now let's create the routes. Further, routes, and inside it also cart.js. First, let's get cart by user ID. Here also we have to import everything. To get started, router.get. Here I will implement the user ID, then async cart find one. According to the user ID, we will get the cart according to this user ID. You can do this, or you can replace it with const user ID equal to request.params. It's up to you. After we get the items according to this user, we have to make sure to return empty cart if not exist. So everything will be empty and 0. Now let's calculate the items or the total. Here you have to know whenever we want to calculate many items, we have to use something called reduce. It's a JavaScript function. It's very smart calculator. It goes through our array of items one by one. It starts with sum, as you can see here, with 0, and for item count, it adds the quantity for each item to the sum. And for the total, it multiplies the price by the quantity. And add this to the total bill. And to get this data, we have to return it inside JSON, the user ID, items and item count, and the total. And here inside catch error, let's console log everything and return error message 500. Now this function is ready. Let's move to add item to cart. Let's router it again, router.post. Also we will choose user ID, then, but here we have to put these points. Maybe we can add here at async request and response. Now inside try and catch, here we have to get the user ID and everything will come from the front end, like product ID, name, price, image, and quantity. And by default, whenever user adds something to cart, the quantity will be 1 as initial value. And some fields must be required, like product ID, name, and the price. Then we will get all the items related to this user. So let cart await cart.find by 1. Why you have to get it? To make a condition. So if this product is not exist, we have to create a new one. To implement that, we have to say if not cart, we will create new cart. New cart, and inside it the user ID and all the items inside the cart. Else, that means the product is already exists. So we will update only the quantity. I will put it here in a comment. Now here, according to the index, there is something called here find index. In Node.js, we can add it to make sure that this item, which the user had added before, is equal to the product ID. That means the product is already exists, but we have to continue, of course. After we define existing item index, if the existing item index is less than -1, so we have to update the quantity and increase it. Otherwise, we will create a new item. That means the product is not exist. So here above, we are creating a new cart, and down here, we are creating a new item. Don't forget to save the cart, otherwise we will not find the data inside MongoDB. And don't forget to calculate the totals. We can take it copy-paste from above, because after we update the quantity, we have also to calculate the total again. And return everything, just like we did before a while. Message, item added to cart, the user ID, items, and item count. Here, let me remove this one, and inside catch, we will console log everything. Now for updating the quantity or the cart, actually is very simple to everything we have done before. Just here, instead of post or get, we have to replace it with put. And here is the route, user ID update. We are getting the user ID and the product ID quantity, which will come from the front end. Then we are getting the cart items, finding the index to update the quantity here. And here we are removing the quantity if it's equal or less than 0. Then save the cart again, getting the total, response.message, and console log. And the same thing here for remove any item. Here is the route, getting the user ID and the product, getting the cart items according to the user ID and the index to make sure that the item inside the cart is equal to the product ID, then remove it. So that's everything inside the cart routes. Now let's move to the front end. Inside front end, since the cart will wrap inside the whole of our project, I prefer here to use Zustand. It's a React state management, and it's very simple and very easy to use it. Let's cd to the front end again, npm install Zustand. Now inside front end, I will create new folder called store. By the way, I will show you Zustand documentation. Zustand Next.js. That's it. Here is documentation. It handles with something called store. So after install it, we have to create counter store, and in our case we have cart store, and here how we can handle with Zustand. It's very simple. So here I will create a new file, cart store.ts. First I will define the interface of cart item, then the cart state, which includes items, item count, total. And inside this cart state, we have to define the functions we want to use inside Zustand. As you can see here, in the autocomplete, I will copy paste everything. The functions we will use for Zustand is set user ID, fetch cart, add to cart, remove from cart, update quantity, clear cart, and everything. You can ask, of course, Antigravity how to do that, but I have to explain to you how to use Zustand. Now our main API route for the cart is localhost 3003 cart, which we take a copy-paste from the backend. Now here is our main function, export const user cart store equal to create. We will put inside it the cart state, which includes all the functions. So cart state, I will remove right now set and get, and also remove this one, just like this. Then I will use persist, and inside it also set and get again. You can find everything inside the documentation. Here inside this one, we have the items, item count, total, is loading, and user ID. These ones. Now the first function, set user ID, which comes from set user ID here, the first action, which will only include the user ID. Now the second one is fetch cart. Fetch cart will include the API URL for the cart and the user ID. So we don't have to put this function inside every page in the project. You can only put it in this file. You can think about it like the context, but we didn't use here context. Instead of API context, we are using here Zustand. But here actually we have to define create and persist, so let's import them from Zustand. Okay. Now let me close the fetch cart. Then let's move to add to cart function, which will include the user ID and the items and the current user ID, which will come from Clerk, and map inside all the items if the product is not exist, otherwise updating only the quantity. Then update the total and set everything. And as you can see here inside the try and catch, here we are getting the main cart API route and the current user ID, then add. And this URL comes from the backend. So that's everything about add to cart. Let's close it. Let's do the same thing for remove from cart by getting user ID and items, filter for the products, getting the new count and total, and return it by using set. Now let's update it. Here we have also the same thing for update quantity, and you are using here the cart API URL, update, the method is put, and the last thing, we have to add the configuration object for Zustand. Since we add here persist middleware, because Zustand saves these states under this key, and the name of this one is cart storage. Now here is the question. How to implement these functions and call it inside our project? It's very simple. Just go to components. Now for add to cart function, all we need to do, create a new file inside components called add to cart button.tsx. Now first, let's implement the interfaces for TypeScript. Here we have the button and add to cart button props. Let's create now the function export default function add to cart button. Here you have to pass the product which comes from this interface. And if you want to add or pass inside it some classes, you can add it here, like size, class name, show icon, and full width. And don't forget to add to cart button props, because these props include the product which we are setting here and the variant size, so everything must comes from add to product button props. But here the product, it must be in small letter because it comes from this one. Okay. First, let's handling the loading. We can add here is adding and set is adding equal to use state. And since we are using here React hook, we have to use client. So is adding and set is adding is similar to is loading, set is loading. Let's implement also is added and set is added to make sure if the product is added to cart or not. Now how to call the functions inside Zustand. All we need to do is to give it a new const, add to cart, and use cart store, which we implemented inside cart store here. Add to cart. But here we are using use cart store, because everything will come from this main function. That's why we set export const use cart store. So let's import it. And inside it we have to put the appropriate function, which is add to cart. Now let's handle this function. Const handle add to cart equal to async. Here we can put React mouse event first e.prevent default. And here don't forget to put e.stop propagation. Do not pop link up to parent Steve and the body. Now since it's loading or is adding, we have to return empty value. And whenever we add anything to cart, here the loading will start. So it will become from false to true. Then inside try and catch, await this function add to cart, and it will include everything comes from this interface. Product, name, price, image. And whenever we add anything to cart and the process is finished, that is added will become true. That means the item has been added to cart. And here we can reset after 2 seconds by using set timeout. Then set is added will become false. Then catch everything, Finally, set is adding, which means the loading will become false, because everything has finished. Now inside return, let's create this button. Actually, this page is only for the button. So let's create this button, which comes from chat.cn, the loader 2, Lucid React, check comes from also Lucid React, and this one also. And by the way, show icon is coming from add to cart button props, which is boolean. That's everything about add to cart button. Now let's move to the navbar. Why? To get another function from cart store. Let's import it, which is item count. So let's import use cart storage. Now we will use item count inside our navbar. Let's go down to right side icon, maybe here after this button and before the user auth. We can add here this cart icon, which includes the shopping cart. We will put the real item count, and if it's more than 99, we will put it as a fixed number, which is 99. So whenever we add anything to cart, the item count will be updated automatically. Before I continue, here I got some error inside cart service here. When I say npm run dev, I face an error because here we have to install Node.js inside it. So npm init. Why? To install package.json. Okay, now we got it. Here let's implement npm run dev. Then dev nodemon index. Now I can say npm run dev. But here we got problem. Cannot find .env. Let's install it again. npm install .env. Okay. npm run dev. Another error inside cart service. Because here inside routes cart, we have to export router here. Again, everything is working, but now I have another issue. This is inside product service. And this issue will be inside every service because it cannot find any connection with MongoDB due to IP address. Sometimes this error happens when the IP address inside MongoDB is not defined, so how to handle it? If I go back to the main page, current IP address not added. All we need to do is click on add current IP address. That's it, and everything now will be working. Let's say npm run dev again. Now MongoDB connected. And make sure also Docker is running, otherwise no service will work. Now let's go back to front end. Here inside the project, let me refresh the page. We have add to cart inside feature products. So how to handle it? Let me go back again to recent products, add to cart. Okay, let's replace the button here with add to cart button component and let's import it. Now if I click on anyone, add it, and as you can see, we have here 2 products, but actually we don't have the cart page right now. But now everything is working and the item count is updating automatically. And we have to implement it also inside the product ID. Here add to cart now is not working, and also when we see all the products here, also we have to implement this function. So let's ask Antigravity to implement it. Since we added inside feature products, everything now will be easy. Implement function to product ID page and products page. Now it's starting with products page, making some implementations by adding here add to cart button instead of add to cart only. Let's accept this one. And now your front-end dev server is already running. Let's test this. Add to cart. Okay, added. Let's go to any page ID. Add to cart, added successfully. And now inside our cart service, since also we have get cart items, let's ask again Antigravity to create the cart page. So create cart page and display all the user ID items with nice design. Now the page is ready. Let's test it. Click on this one, and here is the shopping cart. I see the design is very nice. Here we can add the quantity, update it, and here the total is also changing. If I try to delete anything, it deleted successfully. But here is the problem. The cart DB inside MongoDB is empty. That means we have problem inside our backend. If I go back again, here I can see inside cart service we got an error. That's why we cannot see anything inside our database. The error is Next is not a function. It's inside cart.js. This one. I asked Antigravity to handle it, and as you can see, now it's removing the next here and update it in this way. The error next is not a function is coming from cart model. This typically happens when Mongoose has an issue with callback pattern. Now let's try again. Let's try to add anything to cart, and let's see what will happen. Now if I refresh the page inside MongoDB, click on CartDB, now we can see our item. The user ID here is guest. That means the user ID is not coming from Clerk user ID. And the reason is we have to create new cart provider inside our components. So inside components, let's create cart provider.tsx to sync user ID with MongoDB. And since we will wrap it inside all of our project, here we have to pass children. And inside it, the cart provider props. But cart provider props now is not defined. Since we are passing here children, all we need to do is to pass cart provider just like this. Now inside this function, we will import everything from Clerk, const user is signed in, and is loaded equal to use user, which will come from Clerk Next.js. And everything here inside this const will come from useCartStore from Zustand, which include all these functions. Now inside useEffect, if it's not loaded, return empty value, and if signed in or if is user, that means if it exists, and if signed in already, set the user ID to user ID and fetch cart to user.id. Else, set user ID to guest. Let's import useEffect here and use a client since we are using React hook. And now inside the brackets of useEffect, here we have to put everything since these values will be changing every single time. Let's move this one also. Now inside return, we will put the children. Okay, now this is everything inside cart provider. Let's go again to the layout to wrap everything inside cart provider. But let's wrap it before the navbar and import it. Refresh the page. Let's add anything to cart. Refresh MongoDB here. And as you can see here, the user ID now is coming from Clerk. Let's handle our checkout by using Stripe. First, split a new terminal and install npm install Stripe. Make sure payment service terminal is working. I will split a new one here. cd payment service. Let's move backward one step. Now cd payment service npm run dev. Now inside our payment service, we have to create new routes because we are using Stripe, and inside it we have webhooks.js, or I will make it webhook, and another route checkout.js. Why I created webhook? Every Stripe connection requires webhook to handle payment to Stripe. It's very important. Now inside checkout. In Stripe, there is something called checkout session. That means Stripe deals with something called sessions. For checkout session, I will create a new router. Let me first import it. Router.post, create session, async, request and response. We will get from frontend items, customer email and user ID, and they are required. If you take a look at Stripe documentation, you can find something called currency, product data, or price data actually. And inside product data, we are including what we have inside our schema. You can fetch whatever you want. Here we are choosing, or we are fetching the name and the images. And the quantity also. Because we will send this data to Stripe. And I will show you after a while the Stripe dashboard. And as we did before, inside cart, here also we have to use reduce function from JavaScript to calculate the total. And now here is the most important section inside Stripe, which is create checkout session. This session includes something called stripe.checkout.sessions.create. Here is the most important part. The method type is cart, line items equal to line items here, which is the data we want to send, mode payment. Everything you see here is inside Stripe documentation. And after the payment is successful, we are being redirected to another page called Checkout Success Session ID. And also if you cancel the payment. But here, Stripe is not defined. To define that, we have to import it like this, including Stripe secret key. So inside payment, actually we have .env here. Let's include Stripe secret key. I will include it, but let me first finish everything inside the checkout. Now after creating a new session, we will return this data response.json, including session ID and the URL. And let's catch any error inside it. Let's not forget module.export router. And if you want to get the session details, we have to pass session ID, including, as you can see, checkout.sessions.retrieve. And here we have all the information which comes from Stripe, like currency, metadata, amount total, payment status, and customer email. Here is everything about checkout. Let's move to webhook. The webhook here is importing send order event. So whenever we make payment inside Stripe, it will send a message to order service. And inside Stripe dashboard, we have Stripe signature. You don't have to understand every line inside it, because it's a fixed data. When you ask Antigravity or any AI agent, it can generate it easily. Here it checks if the case checkout.session.complete, so the payment will be successful. And if it's cancelled or expired, we will get another message. And there is, as you can see, the reason why we create here webhook. To create order inside order service is very important part. Otherwise, Stripe will not receive any order or any payment without webhook. So you have to know every Stripe is connected to webhook. But here also we have Stripe webhook secret. Of course, we will get everything from Stripe dashboard. I will put it here inside .env, inside payment service. Let's go back to index inside payment service. We have to include here the Stripe. And here also I can't see the cores. So let's handle it at the port. I will remove this one. We don't have it inside .env. Here we have the cores. And here we have the webhook and the webhook routes inside it and the checkout also. I think there's an error inside payment service. And this error is normal because we don't have any API key, because we have to activate it inside our Stripe dashboard. For now, let's ignore it. Let's go back to order again. Order service inside the model. Here we have to add two another things. You can add it wherever you want. We have to add payment status and Stripe session ID. It's very important because now everything is connecting with each other. And for payment status, we have default value and some enums. And let's go again inside orders, routes, orders. After create order, I think only we have create order. Okay, now we have to activate another thing related to Stripe, which is create order from payment webhook. Because as you know, if we want to create payment from Stripe, everything is connecting also to order. If we will send from front end, products, customer email, total, and Stripe session ID, payment status, which we had added them before a while. Then we will get everything according to Stripe session ID to create our new order. And here we will get order by Stripe session ID. According to Stripe session ID. By the way, as I said before, you might not know everything inside Stripe and Stripe webhook especially. All you need to know is to have basic information about Stripe webhook and ask Antigravity or any AI agent to create these webhooks for you, whether inside payment service or inside order routes or inside any file. Now, where we have to implement create session here inside routes, which is inside payment service, in front end? Actually, the answer is inside the cart page. Here, inside it, here we have to add new use state, which includes checking out at set checking out. And also make sure that user and is signed in from Clerk is also active. Now let's handle checkout. Const handle checkout. Actually, we have to create button with function handle checkout. We will do that. Async. If it's checking out, return empty value. And during checking out, set it checking out will be true since initial value is false. Now inside, try and catch. Const response equal to await fetch. The link we want to fetch is checkout create session, which comes from payment service. And inside it, method is passed headers, content type, application JSON. Inside body, we have to return items and make map inside it, since we might have many orders or many products inside our cart. We will return product ID, name, price, image, quantity, and the email which comes from Clerk, and the user ID also. And by the way, to fetch any email comes from Clerk, we have to use primary email address dot email address, not another format. Then response.json, and if data.url. What I mean here with URL. And here we have to put window.location.href data.url. So whenever the payment is successful, it will redirect us to Stripe. Here, let me show you again. It must be inside the checkout, like this. Checkout success. Session ID, checkout session ID. But here actually, front end URL here is undefined right now. So let's define it. It will be localhost 3000. And I noticed also we have order service URL. We have to put it also inside .env. So let's go back to .env. The front end URL is localhost 3000 and order service URL is localhost 3001. Let's go back again to cart page. So here it will redirect us to the URL, whatever the payment is success or fail. Else, console error. Let's handle here the catch error with console error again. And finally, set is checking out will be false again. Now let's search for checkout. Here, especially inside this button, cart footer, we will change it with this one, button. And if it's checking out, we will put loader2, which comes from Lucid React. That means it's processing, otherwise proceed to checkout. Now, since we have a success page inside checkout here, success URL and cancel URL, if you want to create separate page for this, let's ask Antigravity to create it. Create success page for Stripe according to checkout and webhook page and include all the details. Let's see how we'll create it. Now it's creating the pages. Here is the page inside success. And also it created for cancel page, including everything according to our front end and back end. And let's control also the station ID, that's true, the real URL, paid, otherwise failed. Okay, let's accept the changes and accept all. And this is for cancel page. Checkout page is created. And here inside routes, it's created by itself. New route for clear all the cart. It's up to you if you want to add it. I will accept it. Maybe you need it later. Now I think everything is ready except for .env here inside the payment service. Stripe secret key is not working, and the same thing for Stripe webhook. So how to activate it and create a new webhook inside Stripe dashboard. So let's go to Stripe. Make sure to sign in and create account. If you are new to Stripe, make sure inside developers to create new API key. I had them before, so I will copy and paste them inside my .env. I will copy Stripe secret key and paste it. And by the way, we are here in the test mode. If you want to switch to live account and start getting real payments, you have to switch it, but now we are in development mode, there is no need to do that. And here, as you can see, we are using test publishable key and test secret key. Now, how to get the most important thing, Stripe webhook secret. Go to developers, navigate to webhooks, then create add destination. Search for checkout.session.completed. Continue. Webhook endpoint. Destination name, you can choose whatever you want. Micro, e-commerce, orders. Now, the endpoint URL. Stripe asks for real URL, not a local host. But now we haven't deployed our website yet, so how we can get it? To get dummy URL or test URL, and at the same time it's a real URL, search for ngrok and install it inside your desktop. Here you can install it for Microsoft if you want. I installed it on my Windows, and here I will search for ngrok. It will open a new terminal for me. I will type ngrok http 3000 because our front end is on 3000. Now it created for us a dummy real URL. Let's copy it. Go again to dashboard, paste it, but it's not enough. We have to say, let me go back again to our project to show you. Here we have webhook. If you made it in plural, so make sure to put the same name. It's very important here. So here I will say webhook. But I think here we made a mistake. Since we used localhost 3000, actually it must indicate to our payment service localhost. So here I will say again ngrok http 3000, I think it's 6. Let me take a look. Yes, the port is 3006. Okay, now I will take it again and paste it inside the dashboard. Then Stripe. Let's create destination. And here is our new webhook secret inside signing secret. Let's copy this one and paste it. Okay, now let's test it. But before testing, I noticed something that inside routes order, since we are pushing here all the products to create order, here we are expecting a product ID. But inside our order, there was product, not product ID. So make sure to replace it and put product ID instead of this. Otherwise, we cannot create a new order. Now let's test it. Add to cart. Go to checkout. And now we can see our Stripe payment here. If you want to use test cart, just write 4242 many times. Then we can say any dummy date. Now let's pay. The payment is successful. Now it's redirecting me to the payment successful page, which Antigravity has created with all these details, and everything is okay. Now let me go back again to MongoDB. Now OrderDB is empty. Let's refresh it. And now we can see our order. But now inside PaymentDB, nothing to show. Go back again to Models inside Payment Service. Here we have to add Stripe Session ID, Payment ID, Amount, Currency. Make sure to copy-paste everything. I already put everything inside the GitHub for free. The second step, make sure to save a transaction to the database and create a new transaction with these new fields we created inside transaction model. Let's test it again. I'll go back and add to cart another one, proceed to checkout, make the payment. The payment is successful, success page, and here is our new payment DB and the new transaction. Now what about the email? Email log now is empty. Actually, I asked Antigravity about why I can't receive an email. And the reason was very easy and obvious. Inside routes, especially inside order service, here we have to call send order event, which comes from Kafka config. And we made it already inside Kafka order service. We have to call it inside routes order to push the data to MongoDB to receive an email. I will accept this one. Make sure all the services are running, including right now the email service is running to test it. Let's refresh the page and add to cart. Proceed to checkout, pay. Now let's check our MongoDB. First, I noticed before moving to MongoDB that I could receive an email from onboarding recent dev, which is the test email, and the order ID. We can modify the format in the shape we want. Let me refresh the page for EmailDB. And now, as you can see, we could receive an email successfully. By the way, let's ask Antigravity to make the format and the design looks beautiful. It's better if we create a screenshot and now handle the format to include more details about the product, including the image also, and all details. You can write whatever you want. Now it will update the email template to be more detailed. Now, as you can see inside Kafka, inside email service, I think the format now is much better, including product image, order confirmed, some icons. Yeah, I think now it's much better. Let's accept this one. Now for the checkout, of course, we have also to add quantity and image. Let's accept this one also. Now it will update the order model to include image also. And now it's including the image inside order schema, including inside the products. And everything now must be completed. Let's test it again. Payment successful, another email, and now as you can see, it's much better. And the design, I really like this design. And now inside email, we have 2 emails. So I hope you guys really understand this lesson. This lesson actually is for advanced level. We almost handled everything. With microservices, no worry about server is broken or something went wrong. All the other servers can be work instead of this server. And inside Docker, let me show you something very important. If you click on Kafka UI, this part, I can see here that topics which have been created from our project, now we can see it inside Apache Kafka. And here are also all the consumers, email, payment proceed, and everything.